Joining me today for 6 Ideas in 6 Minutes is Tad Wilson of Toshiba Global Commerce Solutions. The topic is consumers in control. So before we get started, Tad, quickly set the scene. Tell us what Toshiba Global Commerce Solutions does.
So Toshiba GCS, or Toshiba, is the world's largest provider of point-of-sale solutions and retail transaction technology. So what that means is when you check out of a store at a large grocery store or a high-volume retailer like Walmart, you're using our hardware and our software.
Okay, great. So we've got 6 ideas. Number 1 is digital shopping is huge, but growth is getting harder to come by. What does that mean?
So if you've been in retail for any time, there's no points for pointing out that e-commerce or web shopping is huge. But what we're starting to see is the growth curve is bending. So where it used to be double-digit growth, now we're seeing high single-digit year-over-year growth. We see this in the consumer research that we're doing, where consumers report flattening rates of shopping online. Not that it's shrinking or going away, but it's flattening out.
So are less people coming into it or just less people using it?
I think as a percentage of spend, it's starting to hold steady. People know the categories where they want to buy, they know the types of missions that they want to fulfill online, and that's starting to stabilize. We've also had some recent challenges with fulfillment. So example, on Christmas 2013, when people ordered late, couldn't get their things, we're starting to bump up against those analog constraints of digital retail.
So number 2, in harder to reach segments, digital desire outstrips digital actualization.
Right, and so that's a fancy way of saying there are segments where people want to buy online.
Right.
And they just aren't.
And I think we all have those, right?
We all have those.
Yeah.
Like for example, I would love to go online and say, you know what, here's my aftershave, here's this, here's my medicine, and I go. But if I have a cold, I want that now. I don't care that I can save $2 and buy it from Amazon. I'm going to the local Walmart.
Okay.
Another example might be clothing. Some people are very comfortable buying online. Others say it needs to lay right. It has to have the right hand, the right color, the right texture. And oh, by the way, if I want to return it, I don't want to have to go through the reverse logistics.
Right. So number 3, in hardest segment, grocery digital is about personalization, not purchasing. Define that.
Grocery is one of those great examples of a very persistently store-intensive segment.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about apparel and a little bit about health and beauty. Grocery is even farther off the charts in terms of, hey, people might be interested in buying online, but do they really believe that the person who's doing that picking is going to pick the freshest tomato or the best cut of meat or exactly the right ingredient for that recipe?
I think there are certain products within that grocery segment that you just don't trust that retailer to do it on a .com basis, right?
Absolutely. And we've seen that in countries where the penetration rate is higher. So if you look at the United States, about 1/3 of 1% of grocery category spend goes online. And almost all of that is from Ahold Peapod technology. If you go to the UK, 5% of grocery category spend is online. Retailers like Tesco and Asda have north of 7 or 8%.
So they've kind of broken through those trust barriers.
They've broken through the trust barriers, and the way they've done it is they've figured out for whom can I make a substitution and how do I make that? So if you give me your shopping list and I'm not sure exactly what I need to provide, I either make a good choice or I contact you in some way. They figured out how to replicate you better.
Yeah. So number 4, mobile is the linchpin of bridging digital and physical shopping.
So we talk a lot about m-commerce, and the picture we get is sometimes people buying on their phones. We think this is actually overstating it. M-commerce tends to be people buying on tablets. And somebody who's sitting in their house on a tablet is very different than somebody who is in the street or in their office or in a store on a phone. So phones are pervasive. They're heavily personal. They go everywhere with us. But if you look at the top uses of a phone in a shopping context, number 1 is find a store. I have a device that lets me shop anywhere. Let me get back inside the 4 walls.
Okay.
If you look at what's the number 1 use inside a store, it's to find price, to find the location of an item, or to get product reviews so I know I'm buying the right thing. It's really not about making the purchase on that mobile device. It's about using that mobile device as an equalizer for information.
Interesting. So you talked about shopping becoming pervasive. As it does that, brands must master context, not just reach.
Right. And this is a subtle point around, if you think about the technology that serves retailers. In the past, it's been fairly passive. So for example, if you go into a store, your interaction with the product and the brand is mostly in your control. And then when you get to the checkout, they're fielding the technology and you interact with through an associate. With mobile, there's a one-to-one relationship. You interact with the brand on your device, your software, but it's technology that they put out there that you access. We're going way to the other side of that distribution, where instead of lots and lots of people going through the same device or mobile taking that to one-to-one, now it's all the touch points in your home become a point for brand interaction. And this imposes a huge responsibility on the brands. So let's, for example, if you're at home and a brand says, I want to reach you, where you are in the house, what you're doing, what day it is, what time it is, all of these will influence how ready and willing you are to receive that brand message. So the importance of context imposes a huge responsibility on the brands to exercise it responsibly.
Wow, that's great. So number 6 is, in this digital cross-channel world, stores remain a competitive advantage.
Absolutely.
Still brick and mortar. They're still winning?
They are a critical part of a brand's mix of ways to reach consumers. If you look at most retailers that have stores and websites, the websites are getting the growth, but the stores are where the profit gets generated. The most profitable consumers for brands, though, are ones that jump across those channels.
Okay.
So I shop sometimes in the store, sometimes on the website, sometimes on my phone. And that's really a customer who's saying, I want to engage with the brand anywhere. There are things that are still better done in a store than in any other venue. Touch the product, sample the product, engage with an associate who may know more than I do. And this is an incredibly powerful point. Look at someone like Walmart. And Walmart is always described as being in this battle with Amazon. Walmart has 11 times the distribution capacity of Amazon in their stores and in their supply chain. They have 7 times the available to sell inventory. That is a competitive advantage.
So, Tad, thank you so much for coming in and shedding some light on today's consumer. That's it for 6 Ideas in 6 Minutes, Saturday morning meeting for suppliers. We'll be right back.